I never thought betrayal would come dressed as love. She was my safe place, my anchor in a chaotic world, or at least that's what I believed. Nights spent whispering promises, mornings wrapped in soft warmth. I thought I had it all, but the truth never shouts. It whispers, it hides in the quiet corners of daily life. The first crack appeared by accident, a misplaced message on her phone, something she swore was nothing. I wanted to believe her, but my gut twisted. That moment became the seed of doubt, and it grew into a tree with roots deep enough to choke me. Curiosity became my curse. I wasn't looking for proof, but proof found me. A receipt for a hotel, a gift I never received, stories that didn't match. She thought she was clever, but lies always leave a trail. And in that trail, I began to see her clearly for the first time. Not the woman I loved, but a stranger wearing her face. She hadn't betrayed me for passion or love. No, she traded me for money, for comfort, for the shallow promise of an easier life. That cut deeper than any affair could, because greed has no heart, no soul. Most men would rage, confront, demand answers. But I didn't. I swallowed the fire and turned it into ice. Rage burns too fast. Ice lasts forever. If she wanted to destroy me quietly, I would return the favor. Step by step, without her noticing, I began to dismantle her world. I smiled at her lies, kissed her goodnight, and acted as if nothing had changed. She thought she had me fooled, but the real fool was the one who underestimated silence. My revenge wasn't going to be a storm. It was going to be a slow eclipse. Her friends adored me. They trusted me, confided in me, and unknowingly became my allies. Every time she tried to twist a story, I already had another version planted. Subtle, believable. I didn't need to scream she was unfaithful. I just needed to plant seeds of doubt, the same seeds she planted in me. And just like that, her perfect image began to crack. The whispers started, questions formed, and slowly, the pedestal she built for herself began to crumble under the weight of her own lies. I didn't lift a finger, I just guided the fall. Money was her weakness, so I made it her downfall. Quietly, I tracked every careless purchase, every secret transfer, every hidden expense. She thought she was clever, but she never noticed the bank accounts weren't as private as she believed. By the time she realized, it was too late. Bills went unpaid, cards declined, and the lifestyle she clung to so desperately started slipping through her fingers. She looked at me with frustration, searching for answers, but I only shrugged. I wasn't her savior anymore. I was her silent executioner, and every decline was a cut she inflicted on herself. Her lies grew louder as her reality collapsed. She blamed the bank, her boss, bad luck, anything but herself. People listened at first, but excuses lose their power when the pattern becomes clear. And I made sure the pattern was visible. A copy of a transfer left on the printer, a casual mention to a friend, an email forwarded by mistake. I didn't accuse her directly. I simply let the truth float to the surface, and like oil on water, it couldn't be hidden. She was drowning, but no one was reaching out to save her. Not anymore. The man she betrayed me with thought he'd won some prize. He paraded her like a trophy, showing off what wasn't his to begin with. But trophies tarnish, and soon he saw the cracks too. Her greed didn't stop with me. It consumed everything. When he discovered the depth of her deceit, he vanished. Suddenly, the man she threw everything away for disappeared like smoke, leaving her with nothing but the ashes of her choices. She came crawling back to me, not with love, but with desperation. And I let her crawl because mercy was never part of my plan. Nights were the hardest for her. I could hear her crying when she thought I was asleep. Her sobs weren't for me, not for us, but for the loss of comfort, of of status, of the illusion she built. And I lay there, motionless, remembering every night I felt that same ache. Every night I drowned in doubts she created. Now it was her turn to drown, and I wasn't offering a hand. Karma doesn't need words. It needs silence. And silence was the loudest weapon I had. Her cries became my lullabies, and I slept better than ever before. She tried to rebuild, started an online fundraiser claiming she was a victim of abuse, said I ruined her life, posted blurry pictures and half-truths. I let her scream into the void. Because behind every post, I had receipts, proof of every lie, every theft, every betrayal. When people started to believe her, I released the truth, slowly, strategically. I didn't need to defend myself. The facts did it for me. The fundraiser, taken down. Her followers, turned on her. The last thread she clung to snapped. She messaged me again after that, said she was sorry, that she missed me, that she didn't know what she was doing. I didn't reply. Closure is a gift, and she didn't deserve it. I gave her nothing but silence, the same silence she once gave me when I lay next to a stranger in my own home. People think revenge is fire and fury, but it's not. It's patience, it's control. It's watching someone destroy themselves with the same weapons they once used against you. And as she spiraled deeper into loneliness, debt, and shame, I realized I didn't even hate her anymore. Hate requires energy, and she no longer deserved mine. She was nothing more than a ghost haunting her own mistakes. She thought moving to another city would give her a fresh start, but shadows follow, and lies don't vanish with distance. Employers called me for references, and I gave them the truth. Not angry, not bitter, just facts. Her past clung to her like a second skin. Jobs slipped away, friendships ended before they began, and every door she knocked on closed quietly in her face. She didn't realize I didn't need to chase her anymore. I had set the dominoes, and gravity did the rest. Watching her run from her own reflection became its own kind of poetry. She tried to make herself the victim, painting me as a cruel manipulator. But victims don't have trails of luxury purchases, secret accounts, and false stories stitched together like patchwork lies. Every time she tried to point a finger at me, there were three pointing back at her. People she trusted most turned cold, and soon she stood alone in a room full of whispers. That isolation, that suffocating silence, was the same prison she once locked me inside. Only now the bars weren't invisible. They were built from her own greed and betrayal. And I held the key. The irony was cruel. The very people she mocked behind closed doors, the ones she believed were beneath her, were now the ones laughing at her downfall. Screenshots surfaced, whispers spread, and her name became a punchline. The woman who once commanded attention with her beauty and charm was reduced to nothing more than a cautionary tale. I didn't lift a hand. I didn't push. I simply let the weight of her actions crush her. Karma isn't a storm. It's erosion, slow and unstoppable. And watching her collapse was like watching a building you once lived in finally crumble to dust. I started rebuilding myself while she was tearing herself apart. Quiet mornings with coffee, work that mattered, friends who stayed. I was no longer chasing answers, no longer drowning in questions. I had peace, something she would never know again. Because peace isn't given, it's earned. She traded it for greed, and now she paid the price. Sometimes I caught glimpses of her online, desperate smiles, forced laughter. But eyes don't lie. Behind the filters and captions, I saw emptiness, a hollow shell of the woman I once thought I loved. She was alive, but barely living. There were nights when doubt crept in. Did I go too far? Did I become as cold as she was? But then I remembered the nights of silence, the gaslighting, the subtle cruelty of betrayal. She had carved the first wound, and I had simply stopped the bleeding by letting her bleed herself dry. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't break a single law. I let her collapse under the weight of her own actions. Revenge wasn't my weapon. Truth was. And truth doesn't care about feelings. It simply stands, unshakable, while lies collapse into dust. She reached out one last time. A shaky message full of apologies, regrets, half-hearted excuses. She claimed she'd changed, that she finally understood, that she wanted forgiveness. But forgiveness isn't currency, and she couldn't buy it with words. I didn't reply. The greatest punishment isn't anger, it's indifference. Letting someone fade into the silence, knowing they'll never get the closure they beg for, is sharper than any blade. And that silence became her cage. She had no more weapons left, no more masks to wear, only the truth staring back at her every morning in the mirror. By then, she was unrecognizable. The woman who once glowed with charm now looked tired, drained, years older than she was. Betrayal rots the betrayer faster than the betrayed. She thought she gained the world, but she lost everything. Friends gone, reputation ruined, future uncertain. And me? I was free. For the first time, I wasn't carrying her weight, her lies, her shadows. My world grew lighter as hers collapsed into darkness. And in that balance, I found justice. Not loud, not violent, just silent, inevitable justice, the kind that leaves scars no one else can see. People sometimes say revenge doesn't heal. Maybe they're right, but this wasn't revenge, it was survival. I didn't destroy her, she destroyed herself. I just refused to catch her when she fell. Healing came not from watching her suffer, but from finally letting go of the idea that she ever loved me. Love built on lies isn't love, it's poison. And once I stopped drinking it, I became whole again. She, on the other hand, kept sipping from her own cup until nothing was left but bitterness. That was her choice. That was her legacy. Looking back, I don't feel hatred anymore. Just a strange emptiness where love used to be. She became a chapter, one written in pain and betrayal, but still just a chapter. My story continued, stronger, sharper, and wiser. I learned that trust is fragile, that silence can be louder than screams, and that sometimes the best revenge is not to win, but to watch someone lose themselves. She gambled with my life for money, and in the end, she lost hers piece by piece. And all I did was stand still and watch the curtain fall. This isn't a story about her anymore, it's about me. About finding strength in silence, about rebuilding from ashes without carrying someone else's flames. She thought she had broken me, but in reality, she set me free. Free to walk away, free to start again, free to live without her shadow. And that's the ultimate karma. She lost everything chasing nothing, while I gained everything by letting go. So, when people ask if I ever got revenge, I just smile. Because revenge isn't about what you do to them. It's about who you become after they're gone.